Welcome to Season 4 of the Changing Earth podcast with Sara F. Hathaway, blending survival fiction and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sara F. Hathaway.
Hello, and welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast. This is episode number 158, Season 4, Episode 34. Well, we're getting along in the book right now. Battle for the South is coming to a close. I got lots of great shows for you planned as we close out the Season 4 of the Changing Earth podcast. But, we're just getting ready to roll into a lot of really fun stuff, and it's definitely an exciting time. It's also an exciting time because I have finished the story for the next book. And I'm in editing. It goes to my editor at the beginning of August. You can look forward to that September 1st. And then for my Patreon members, I'm going to be offering a pre-release. And most of you guys are signed up to get free books anyway. So thank you for your support. I really appreciate that. If you would like to get signed up as a Changing Earth podcast contributor, head on over to www.patreon.com/Changing Earth to go ahead and get signed up and get access to all those goodies. But book 5 is going to be a ton of fun. I'm still thinking of names. Thinking of a name is not something that I usually do for my book ahead of time. And the only name that's really popped out to us has been used a lot for titles. So I'm still trying to decide. I've got a few options that I'm going through and just trying to finalize that decision. So as soon as I have, I'm going to go ahead and let you know what that new title will be, and then we'll put together a cover and do all that fun stuff. But you can look forward to that coming, and that story, I'm really liking it. It's shaping up to be one of my favorite books, and definitely going to just take you on a wild ride of adventure. So really excited to share that with you. Let's see, I've been doing ground training now. As many of you know that keep up with me, I've been getting into trying to work on my ground game for self-defense, which has been very intimidating to me because I just don't like people in my space. It's a very threatening position, and that's exactly why I need to learn to deal with it. So for those of you watching on camera, I'm not a big makeup girl. I hate putting on makeup, and I got to go work out later, so I didn't want to do it. And you might notice that my chin's a little messed up, and that's just, I didn't get choked out, but I got a bloody chin. So, that's what training's all about, getting those bumps, bruises, knowing what you can take and what you can't take. And as much as it's kind of spooky sometimes, and it takes a lot of effort and a lot of dedication to train yourself, it's really important, because if you're ever faced with that situation in real life, that's when it really comes down. And you might never be. I mean, you might train forever and never be put in that situation. But what if you're in that situation and never train for it ever? So again, I'm going to be harping on you about please go out and get some self-defense training. Women, I know it is very intimidating to do this groundwork, to be that close in to other people, to be put in these threatening positions. But it really gives you that time to practice having that feeling, having that adrenaline. And let me tell you, I've been training stand-up martial arts for a long time. I'm a pretty decent fighter and things like that, and have a lot of confidence there. And as soon as it goes to the ground, whoop, it's a whole new world. And so I'm telling you, you really need to get out and practice these skills. So that's enough of me harping. I just wanted to let you know kind of why I'm a little banged up and stuff like that. So this week in Battle for the South, well, let's go back to last week. Last week in Battle for the South, they had Vince and Erica are training all day. They finally get this moment of peace where they're just hanging out with some friends and, having a good time and maybe indulging a little too much in the alcoholic beverages. So this week, we're going to see how that decision works out for them, the beginning of the story, and then we just get rolling. So they're practicing their self-defense techniques in the ring. And Erica's finally medically cleared to start training again against an opponent. So Bennett pits her against a much younger opponent. And so what I really wanted to explore was the differences between youth versus wisdom in fighting. We're going to call it wisdom, not age, because, as you get older, you have more experience. You know what's going on. Your brain's a little clearer. You start using a lot more economy of movement because you don't want any wasted energy when you're older. You need every bit you can get, trust me. So I really wanted to explore that. And on the show today to discuss that with us is my martial arts instructor, Chief Master Lovas from Auburn Martial Arts School. And he is going to just share some of his experience as far as when he was younger versus now that he's a little bit older, and some of the differences that he's seen, some of the techniques you can apply to keep yourself agility-wise, keep yourself fast, moving quickly, so that you can retain some of those more youthful skills. I can't wait to get into that. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into Chapter 34 of Battle for the South. Chapter 34. Nicholton seemed to possess a gene that prevented him from feeling a hangover, and he was well aware of it. The Master Gunnery Sergeant took great pride in pushing the teams as hard as he could and watching them puke their guts out before heading to the showers. After lunch, they went to a classroom to discuss the details of the assault. More thermal cloaks had been received from Dolores's, and they were being manufactured on a larger scale now. These would be a game changer for the mercs in evening combat. When they finished the discussion, it was back to the gym for self-defense practice. Erica's arm was healing nicely, and Nicholton decided it was time for her to get back in the ring. He chose Smith as her opponent. "I don't want to hurt you, ma'am," the young corporal said. Bennett and Vince smirked, but Dex and Star started giggling and almost broke out into a full roar of laughter. Corporal Smith was a wiry man. He was agile, but he gave away clear signs that told Erica exactly when he was going to attack. He had the impatience of youth, so all Erica had to do was sit back and counterattack. Nicholton called the fight and congratulated Erica. Feeling confident, she joined the group for sparring combinations practice. Partnering with Bennett, they took turns going back and forth kicking the pad, and then whoever was holding it would swing it at the attacker. This would force them to stay ready after their move. "Now, what would your footwork and attack be if your target was moving forward like this?" Bennett asked, challenging her to think outside the box. "Well," she mocked him, "depending on what type of mood I was in, I could either step right and side kick or move past my opponent and back kick." "Okay, let's try that, Cupcake," he responded. She was ready for him to move the target out so she could kick it, and he smacked her across the head with it. "Boom! Now you're in knock the fuck out mood," he laughed. "You're such a dick," she laughed with him. He pointed at her with that smirk, but quickly stopped and snapped to attention along with the other soldiers in the room. Colonel Emma Payne entered with Lieutenant Colonel Vergis and walked towards Master Gunnery Sergeant Nicholton. "First Sergeant Bennett, can you please join us?" Colonel Payne commanded. "The rest of you as you were." "Yes, ma'am," he replied crisply to the colonel. "Continue on, guys," he told them as he left. The four officers chatted quietly by the door. Erica formed a group with Vince and Star, but no one could focus. Finally, the conversation ended and Master Gunnery Sergeant Nicholton returned with Bennett. "Our time is up. You all know your jobs. You will report at 0500 to head out towards Vegas. Head home and do what you gotta do," Nicholton said. He looked really worried, and Erica was concerned. Why did the time move up, she wondered. Looking at Bennett, he had the same deep concern in his eyes. They stored the training gear and showered before heading out. Erica saw Bennett in his office and told Vince she would catch up. "You got a minute?" she asked, poking her head in the office. "Sure, what's up?" Bennett responded out of habit. "How come they moved up the timeline?" Erica wondered. "Shut the door," he ordered. She did as he asked. "The federal forces decimated Albuquerque," he confided in her. "There's radio silence from Cassidy's force right now. The feds bombed it, and the ground troops are advancing. We need to finish eradicating them out of the Badlands, so we only have one front. The planes are still at the base in Vegas. We'll have a chance to take them. All we have to do is secure our people in those gardens." Erica was horrified by the words and hoped she hadn't brought the doom upon them. "I hope they are okay," she verbalized her concern for Cassidy and her team. "But we're ready to go, sir." Erica couldn't wait to get her mom out of there. She was desperate to see her again. As an added bonus, she would have two of her closest friends back. She weaved back through the rows of tents and found theirs. Inside, her beautiful family waited. Fighting for their future could have such a horrific cost. Any one of them might not make it home.
and Erica tried to remember every moment of the precious time they had together. In the morning, the entire camp was a buzz of activity. The refugees were packing up, filling up water trucks, and getting ready to move. Daniel was angry and cried over them leaving. He wanted his friends back, but he didn't want to sleep alone again, and he didn't want to miss them anymore. There was no easy way to walk away. Erica hugged him tightly and told him how much she loved him. She shed tears as she turned to leave, but there was no going back. The world wouldn't magically fix itself, and she had to get her mother away from Matthew Tweed. They piled into a truck and headed south. There would be a train waiting for them in Tonopah to take them to Vegas. A garbage car would be their chariot, just like when they had left. They had to depend on their thermal cloaks to keep their heat signature hidden. Erica sat close to Star on their way south. They hadn't had a real mother-daughter moment since Erica had returned. "I'm sorry about Sean, Star," Erica told her quietly. "So am I," Star replied. "What happened?" Erica wanted details. "Jensen got word from Cole when he checked in that the feds had invaded, and they decided to reveal themselves to me. Like I didn't know he was following me. Anyway, he told us we should head west immediately with him. Cole was worried that they would come for me. Then Sean started worrying too and freaking out because he would have to leave the band. He didn't want to go back to life on the run. You know the drummer, Todd?" Star asked, looking at Erica with those beautiful blue eyes. "Yeah," Erica encouraged her. "He has a sister, Bertie. She fell off the ugly tree and hit every branch all the way down. But they're landowners. He talked with another manager and the guy arranged the paperwork. He said he still loves me, but this was his big chance to be a superstar," Star informed Erica. "How do you feel about that?" Erica asked her, trying to get Star to rationalize her feelings. "Well, obviously I'm pissed and sad. I miss him. I got him all those gigs. I really thought he loved me. But I guess it was all a lie," Star reflected. "I don't think it was, Star. Marrying you was a fast decision that we had to make. What else was he going to do?" "I think he did love you, but his head grew too big too fast once he started drawing crowds," Erica consoled her. "I think he's an asshole, and if I ever see him again, I'm going to rip his balls off," Vince commented, eavesdropping on their conversation. "Nobody hurts my superstar." Star smiled at him and blushed. "Oh, Dad." "I'm serious," Vince assured her. "I never trusted that jerk-off anyway," Dexter added. "Stop it, guys," Star pleaded. "He's a good guy. He just loved his music more than me." "His loss," Erica declared. They finally reached the train. It was time for the final gear checks. The driver had intel for them about Greg and Penny. The feds that were loyal to the resistance had informed them that Vince and Erica were coming in to get Nancy and the Mercs. When they asked for Greg and Penny's help, they never hesitated to agree. The team wrapped the thermal cloaks tightly over their bodies and tucked into the corners of the cart. Breathing in her hood, Erica sat waiting for the train to start moving. The adrenaline made her tingle, and she took a deep breath to calm her nerves. The image of being in the cell in a hood wanted to flood her mind, but Erica took another deep breath and felt the gentle rocking of the train, click-clacking along the track. It was the longest ride of her life. Squashed in the corner of the garbage cart, she wished she could turn herself invisible. She wanted her brain to shut off and the images of the past to quit flashing in her eyes. She opened them and could tell from the dancing lights overhead that they had entered the city. Then they made the U-turn located by the gates to the refugee housing center. It would only take moments to come to a halt in front of the gardens.
Entering Las Vegas via the train, the final battle is about to begin. Training is essential for optimal performance, whether that's in a long-term survival situation or in a self-defense situation. And here today to talk to us about youth versus wisdom in fighting is Chief Master Dan Lovas. Chief Master Dan Lovas is a martial arts instructor. When he was young, he was fascinated by Bruce Lee movies. They spoke to his soul in a way that nothing else had. He desperately wanted to learn how to move like Bruce Lee, so he found a Boys and Girls Club that offered judo and kung fu. He took them both. Plagued with indecision over which one he liked best, he decided leaving either of the styles behind was not an option. One day, while practicing forms at a 24-hour fitness, a man, Joe Tucker, challenged him to a sparring match. Dan's confidence was high, and even though Joe broke his foot over Dan's head, the outcome of the match came out very differently than Dan expected. Joe introduced Dan to Taekwondo and Chief Master Jack Corey, who was a third-degree black belt at the time. Applying his previously established training regimen to Taekwondo, Dan's passion for competition grew. He jumped at every chance he had to compete and compiled a long list of competitive accomplishments, including 1990 ATA World Champion, 2 times ITC National Champion, 2-time GSKA National Champion, Full Force World Champion, Barnacles fighting 15-0 with 9 head kick KOs. Taekwondo is still a way of life for Chief Master Dan Lovas. His relationship with Chief Master Corey grew, and he still trains under him to this day. Chief Master Lovas' teaching instruction is internationally renowned, and he has been named Instructor of the Year 4 times. His love of martial arts doesn't end with Taekwondo. He has a third-degree black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, a black belt in Kung Fu, a black belt in Silat. Dan is a certified instructor of Tai Chi and criminal countermeasures and a graduate of Eskrima. Even with all these other accomplishments, Taekwondo is his love, and he thanks God for it at the end of each day. Many years have passed since 1988 when Dan received his first Dan in Taekwondo, but his dedication and commitment to the art have earned him the honor of testing for his 8th degree, which he did in October of 2017. If you want to learn more about Chief Master Lovas, head on over to auburnmartialarts.com. That's auburnmartialarts.com. Well, let's go ahead and welcome Chief Master to the show. Today I have Chief Master Dan Lovas from the Auburn Martial Arts School back with me today. Chief Master, thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I really, really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
It's been awesome to have you up, and we get to record right in my house and everything, so that's pretty cool.
Love being here. Beautiful property you have here.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So today, Erica in my story, she is re-entering the ring for the first time since she had this injury where she got a tricep cut with a knife, cut on her face and things like that. She's facing a much younger opponent today. And so he's kind of, I don't want to hurt you, stuff like that, because you're older, you're a woman and stuff. And so we know that's not true of my character in my book. But I thought it was an interesting topic to go into some of the advantages, some of the disadvantages of youth versus wisdom in fighting.
Sounds great.
So let's just go right into what kind of potential advantages does a youthful fighter have over an older one?
Good question. Well, the youthful fighter is going to be able to be explosive, take off really fast. So that's to their advantage on about 70% of the population. Right. However, the rest of the population, that wouldn't necessarily be an advantage for. And the reason why is the older fighter has intelligence.
Right.
So they believe that this younger fighter will attack faster. They don't have the same patience. So a younger fighter could be set up to do things they don't want to do. They could be tricked into making the wrong steps, things like that. I've fought, in my career, I had 15 professional bare knuckle fights. And in the beginning, I was the younger fighter. And out of 15 fights, I had 9 minutes and 46 seconds of fight time. I was able to win very fast. Mm-hmm. In the beginning, I could pick up my foot and kick someone and they wouldn't even get their hand up the block.
Right.
Because I was young. I was training anywhere from 4 to 6 hours a day. It was my career and I was paid to train.
Right.
So a lot of the people that I went against didn't have that same discipline. They were older and they were going more on experience. So the speed was hard for them to match. And I had tremendous amount of experience only at the age of 20 since I started so early in life. So that right there I think would be the strongest advantage for the youth would be explosiveness.
Right, and agility.
Agility.
What do you think about agility?
I'm actually as agile now as I was in my 20s because all I've done is train to increase those skills for all these years. However, an older person defending himself against a younger person hopefully uses their mind.
Right.
Because that's their advantage.
So there's a little bit of difference in the training styles because with Skip, he pushed weights a lot. He didn't do, he walked a lot and things like that. We would run like cone drills, speed agility drills, but he lost a lot of that as he got older. Well, now he's past 60 and things like that. So, and that's why I'm wondering, I think it was because of the weight training actually, rather than the martial arts training, because you're just building those large, cumbersome kind of muscles instead of nice, lean, flexible muscles. Would you think there's anything to that?
Absolutely. And if you've been in the gym with me, I work out very different than most people. I don't have a very large physique. I like to, be very fit and tone at about 4 to 10% body fat, but I might do just the bar, 10 sets of 50 in bench press day. And I might pick up that bar and do 10 sets of 50 squats. So what I'm doing is I'm doing muscle stamina.
Right.
And I will try to incorporate muscles that work together for functionality.
Okay.
So I do a lot of agile drills with weights. I do it on the balance ball.
Where you're moving, yeah. Okay.
I'm always changing my point of view where I can actually, this place where I'm looking, I'll look the other way and I'll look back to cause myself to lose balance while I'm lifting, so that I can actually work on reflexes and work on balance and things like that.
Yeah, even the one move where we were doing the get low and shoot for the ankle, change your height. That's like, whoa, I haven't done just that movement of getting that low and like moving across the floor. And you're like an arrow. And that was pretty incredible, because I'm like...
and I believe I can do it better at 53 than I could when I was wrestling in college.
Right.
Which is amazing, because I'm older. However, proper diet, proper rest, proper,
training,
weight training,
stay with it.
Martial arts training, everything should get better until your body just can't anymore.
Right. No, we won't say that one.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
I'm going to let it ride as long as I can.
Right. I hear that. So we kind of went into it a little bit, but potential advantages of this experienced fighter over the youthful one.
Oh, that's intel. When I had professional fights to do, there was always video, and I could watch the video, and I could see what their core movements are going to be. Now, that's training for a professional fight, but yet the intel is really no different. As long as you know yourself and your own capabilities, obviously you want to know your enemies.
Right.
If any of you...
If it's possible, right?
I mean, if I'm quoting Sun Tzu, Art of War.
Yep.
However, there's a lot to that. You need to know yourself. You need to know your enemy. A wiser person will lose less battles, just period. When you're defending yourself as an older person against a younger, youthful person, I might make it a point to end that very fast.
Right.
I have the ability, I can normally deliver a lot harder impacts than a younger person because of all the years of training. I did have to defend myself against a very youthful person 2 years ago up in Colfax in a liquor store who was stealing something from a friend of mine's store. And I said, hey, brother, I'll pay for those sardines. Take them out of your sock.
Right.
And he got up, said, mind your own business, and took a swing at me. I slipped the punch and hit him once and knocked him out. He was about 270 pounds, very large, 27 years old. And I know that because as we drug him outside, we took his driver's license out. Guy had $200 in his pocket.
And he's stealing
and
sardines?
still stealing. I guess he liked the rush. He got a different rush this time.
Yeah.
However, this man was big, and I knew that. And what flashed in my mind was, I need to hit him really hard.
Yeah.
And it happened, and that's all we need to do. He went to jail.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Well, that's even when, so in black belt testing, you put us in the brawling position where we can't move at all. And I really don't like that because I like moving a lot. But you saw him up against Anthony, who tends to swing pretty hard and be very headstrong. And I was like, that's it. I'm going to back kick him, fold him over, kick all the air out of him right off the bat. Yeah. So
as you can notice, Sarah described a game plan.
Yep.
That's what you get when you get older. Because you think about things more often. You think about self-defense situations. You think about sparring an opponent that might be younger at a class.
Yep.
Or going to a tournament competing. All those things are going to cause thought process that could give you the best possible scenario for yourself.
Yeah, my game plan got totally screwed when we were at in Reno because I was planning on fighting the other gal and got moved up. I didn't realize I was getting moved up bracket.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to that question and answer that one more time. What does an older person have the advantage with? What's the skill set? What they have is they truly know themselves. They know their capacity. They know what they can do. Where a younger person really doesn't know yet until he has done it multiple times.
That's true. They're doing a lot more experimentation when they're out on the field rather than...
So their confidence, believe it or not, is not going to be as high as an older person. I defended myself. This sounds crazy, but there was 5 young kids. I was doing a build-up. This was 6 years ago. Pulled out in front of me. I slammed on my brakes. My saw flew through my car. I pulled over. I yelled at him, and one ran out and took a swing at me. I did break his arm blocking it, and pulled him to the ground, stood on his broken arm, and none of the other people would come near me. And at that time, I got out of the car, and I thought, there's 5 of them.
Yeah.
And I said, I got to move fast. And I never struck one of them, but it was enough. My skill sets showed the other ones they didn't want to have anything to do with it.
Right. Oh my gosh, he just broke his arm instead of my buddy just smacked him.
And
now
I'm standing on his broken arm.
Yeah,
so
right.
That's not good.
Right. That's awesome.
So as a younger person, I might not have stood on his arm, but I knew the psychological advantage I'd have by doing that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm going to have to start thinking about more of that as I go into that because I'm still playing with so much stuff.
Well, the local highway or local police department, if I'm in line at Starbucks or something, they go, don't piss him off. He'll break your arm.
Right.
Still today, 5, 6 years later.
He'll break your arm. So how could this youthful fighter kind of steal some of the tricks from a more experienced fighter?
Well, I'll speak from firsthand experience. My instructor, Jack Corey, was a multiple-time K1 world champion, Taekwondo world champion, Special Forces. You know, my own father was, gunner's mate in the Navy, Special Forces. And so I had these mentors that I learned as they were getting bigger. I got to spar with my instructor and learning his tricks, his feints, what worked for him. Based on his body type at the time, I learned that I needed to find out what worked for me as my body matured, because they wouldn't be the same moves.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yeah.
At one point, he sent me to a martial arts instructor who's no longer teaching today, James Pickett. And Master Pickett was an amazing fighter. They called him the Ghost. We all had an arsenal. It's like all of us have guns.
Yep.
We all had an arsenal. But yet, when I went to spar with Master Pickett, I couldn't touch him. And he was never out of reach. And that was the first time I experienced a slippery person where I'm throwing everything I can as a youthful, fast, explosive fighter, 2-time world champion at that time. And I couldn't touch this man in his 50s. And he could hit me at will whenever he made me miss.
Right.
So I went, and the only way I could actually glean anything from him was getting on the floor with him and actually experiencing it. So those of you who are looking for all kinds of stuff other than experience, you got to go back to experience. We're human beings. We need to actually live these things to gain them.
Yep.
Okay?
And the only way to gain them safely is in
under a
classroom.
trained professional.
Yep.
So a lot of my students, when I spar, I try to teach them things that I've learned so they don't have to maybe take 5 or 6 more years to learn it. They can learn it now. I can plant the seeds. I can't water them. I can't make them grow, but they can. So by being around the proper people, a younger person can glean all the experience early. I felt that I did by the mentors I chose.
You get like the download from the other experience in your area. So how about vice versa? So, you have an experienced fighter. How can they still be harnessing some of the tricks and stuff? I mean, we never stop learning.
Well, as an experienced fighter, if I was going to spar with someone much younger than me, I would stay a little bit farther away because they're faster. And I'm smart enough to do that. And I would probably attack with feints. However, if I wanted to gain from them, I would get a little closer and spar and give them their advantage and force myself to learn how to get the timing of their speed instead of being a little farther away.
Right.
So you either have to be all the way in or all the way out.
Yes.
So there is no in between with a youthful fighter. You're all the way in inflicting danger and pain, or on the outside making them miss so that you can inflict danger.
Yeah. And I find it's kind of whatever mood I'm in that night. Do I feel like being in there and going for it that hard, or do I feel like
that's the
feeling back
benefit
a
of
little bit?
training. In self-defense, we don't have that luxury to choose how we're going to respond.
Yeah.
However, training, I've trained when I'm sick, I've trained when I felt great, and I've taken days off.
Yeah.
But the main thing is I've trained many, many years so that when I've had to defend myself, and I mean that, had to, because I have,
Right.
The skill sets were there because I did put all those time. Even though when you go in and spar and maybe you didn't have the day that you normally would,
right,
you still put time in and gain the experience.
Fair enough.
So
that's true.
All training is good training.
That's true. That's true. There's so many days I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm not going to go 100%. And then I beat myself up for not, putting it all in. But you're still there doing it, right?
Yep. And I've never seen anyone leave training unhappy.
Yeah.
Everyone's happier that they did it.
Yeah, it's true. That's why I'm like, just as long as you get there, and then you get all the endorphins,
Exactly.
It's like a family environment at our school, and so
very much so.
It's your buddies and
yeah. Sarah just brought up it's a family environment. Those of you looking for a school to train, make sure it feels like family to you, because you're going to be there for a long time. It's not a product. You're buying you're signing up for a process, not a product.
Yep.
So you're going to be around a lot of people for a long time. Make sure you like it.
Yeah, I'm down there like 5 days a week now. You got me down there.
Yes, you do.
So, that's one thing I want to talk to you about after too. So remind me.
Sure, we can open up another day.
Right? Yeah. No, not Saturday too. You already work on me on Saturday enough. Oh, okay. So, share some lessons with us that time has taught you about fighting specifically. Like, you used to jump into it, and now that's kind of my story.
When I was fighting professionally, there's a period when the bell rings. Mm-hmm. And when I first started, I wouldn't spend much time acquisitioning rhythm. That means getting their timing down.
Yes. Yep.
You watch a lot of really, really good fighters in MMA or boxing, and they'll spend that first 2 minutes of the first round staying outside, kind of throwing half-hearted techniques that look like stuff they want to do, so that they could discover the response they're prepared to do if you do that. Mm-hmm. So that's called acquisitioning rhythm. My first professional fight, I had a 9-second knockout. I didn't spend any time acquisitioning rhythm.
Yes, sir.
I was young. That particular fight, I was 23 years old, and I'd won a world title in Taekwondo. But this was my first bare knuckle, full contact. And by that realm, I felt as though if I trained with the ankle weights, did my 4 miles of kicking every day, I didn't really have to have a strategy. I was going to quick draw. So my strategy was quick draw. Mm-hmm. Meaning, Old West, we both have guns, I'm going to hit you first. And my confidence is there that I'm not worried about anything. I'm going to hit you first.
So what made you change?
What made me change was as I got older, I got smarter, and I was winning my fights really fast. Mm-hmm. However, I started facing a few more people where I was getting cut. I broke a tooth. I got 40 stitches one time. Gotcha. Still won under 2 minutes, but I was taking on more damage. Yeah. So when I started taking on a little bit more damage, defending the title, defended it 9 times. So those fighters were getting paid a lot of money. Sometimes I was making $50,000 to $100,000 a fight. How well will someone train themselves to win that?
Yeah.
So I was training 4 to 6 hours a day, plus teaching all my martial arts classes afterwards. Yeah. So I was putting in an entire day, every day, of those theories and thoughts. As I got older, being faster, being the first one to hit was still part of my game. However, that was the threat. I trained everyone I was a quick draw. So when I discovered, if you see a snake, rattlesnake coils, it bites. Mm-hmm. When I brought up my knee and slid forward, everyone thought I was going to attack. And then I noticed if I paused, people would react because they thought I was going to do something. So they'd overreact one direction, and I would hit.
When the door opens.
When the door opened, I became an opportunist. Now, that worked for me a long time. And then I realized I didn't use my hands that much. And I thought, well, I don't need them, I'm winning. But if someone got past my feet, how am I going to use my hands? So I started to train in more combination sets as I got older, not to win more, because I was already winning. I was undefeated. But it was to grow as a human being. I wanted to grow as a fighter, and I felt if I didn't actually develop how to go from hands to feet to jiu-jitsu or whatever I needed to do fluidly, I would never be able to teach that. So I wouldn't be able to duplicate well-rounded fighters if I was a one-trick pony. Quick draw. So out of that experience, I learned that I wanted to become more so that I could offer more. I didn't want my best student to only accomplish what I did. I want them to dwarf what I've done. Now I've been a great instructor, not a good instructor.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at my life as this is the third quarter.
Right.
And I still have a lot of work to do. And obviously my fourth quarter will be more of my legacy. How am I remembered? So right now I'm more focused on developing that base of really skilled martial artists that will live through many generations past me. So my third generation, I'm thinking more about grandkids and their grandkids.
Yeah.
How do I sustain what I've started?
Right.
How do I cause people to be better than my highest points?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the key, to encourage it so it goes on, so that we can keep handing it down to the future generations. So what types of exercises can you practice to maintain your agility as you age?
Oh, it's
your
great.
Agility and speed.
Those are all good things. I like full body workouts. We actually have an exercise I named the full body workout.
Yes, we do.
I jump up, reach for the sky, drop down, do a push-up, stand up, shoot my hips forward, and reach for the sky again. So I'm using my whole body. I like to do multiple sets. I like to do 5 sets of 10 of those in my daily workout. I actually do. I like doing push-ups. I like doing basic bear crawls, spider crawls, or crab walks, all those weird little things that you normally never get in those positions and do.
Yeah, and it gets rough as you get older.
In jiu-jitsu, there's a very extensive warm-up all on the ground. Shrimps and oompas and all these core body movements you're going to find in any jiu-jitsu program. Taekwondo works lots of fast twitch, plyometric type movements to give you that explosiveness. So things that do that, like jumping rope, full body warm-ups, just riding your bike helps balance, mountain biking, and give you that confidence and balance and moving and speed. So you have to look at, how do I go out there and enjoy my life and live and do things that actually make me better?
Right.
And the only way to do that is to embrace physical fitness and say you love it.
It's awesome.
Yep.
It is, though.
When I leave you, I'm going to the gym. I have a 2-hour day at the gym. It's Monday, and I can't wait. Not every day's 2 hours at the gym, but Mondays are, and I like that.
Right.
So, and I'll get on the bike for 45 minutes and tell the bike I weigh a lot more to make it harder.
And you actually do.
And then lift weights.
Yep.
And then go teach martial arts today. I'll teach Taekwondo and Jiu-Jitsu. So that's a lifestyle for me. You know, I have all my meals planned today. It's all part of it.
Yeah, the diet in combination with the workout plan, and that's what I've been trying to add in the morning. A morning workout along with all the evening practice that I've been doing. And so I'm like, what should I be doing? What should I focus at there? Yeah. Right?
Exactly. You know, if you sign up for a class of Jiu-Jitsu or Taekwondo or Kung Fu, whatever you choose, there's going to be physical fitness in there that will make your core movements of that system better. So once you get started in something like that, or not, you could start your physical fitness. You know, you can start off run, walk, sit-ups, push-ups, counter push-ups, anything to just start. Once you start and get moving, always push yourself to grow. If you're growing, you're increasing agility, balance, and muscle mass.
But if you're not going anywhere.
If nothing changes, nothing changes.
You're not going anywhere. Yep. Alrighty, well, we can go ahead and wrap this one up. I really like the idea of exploring it, because now I'm getting older myself. One of the things that you taught me was you can't just be, all aggressive when you get in there. So I've really tried to slow down and focus a lot on my defense, work on using both pieces. And so I wanted to explore that, as you get older, how do you stay at that level of awesomeness, right?
You grow. You grow mentally, physically, spiritually.
Yep.
All those things are part of who you become and how you perform on the mat or on the street.
Keep at it.
That's it.
That's the key.
That's it.
I think that's the message of both episodes, is just keep at it. Stay strong.
Yes, ma'am.
Or else you're going to be relying upon pepper spray and a gun.
Yeah. I see myself doing this in my 70s.
Right.
I do. My instructors, like Grandmaster Lee, he can still do all the physical fitness, still does all of his forms, keep his mind sharp. And if he had to defend himself, it wouldn't be a problem. A guy can crush a brick with a punch.
Right? Yeah.
And he's
come on, step up.
70s,
Yeah. That's what if anybody grabbed my ponytail, I want to be able to just freaking set them down and never look back.
I could see you wearing a ponytail in the dark alley just for practice.
Just on purpose. Yeah, I do. I'm like, I'll never change my ponytail.
I'll share a quick little story about confidence. We had sold the house, and my wife and I came back to the house to clean it, and we'd noticed the doors had been broken into, and it appeared that people were inside it. Now, my wife, being a professional MMA fighter, master in Taekwondo, starts to fight me to get in the door first. That's her level of confidence. She's extremely angry that I'm not letting her in the door to get to whoever's inside first.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Obviously, I won, and the person ran out the window and jumped out. It was a younger person. But anyhow, you don't see a lot of women behaving that way unless they have extreme confidence.
That's true.
We were out yesterday. We were out four-wheeling at about 8,000 foot. My wife's idea of fun is to get out and jog 5 miles and sprint the hills in the high altitude. So I found a place to fish on a stream, and I had no problems letting my wife take off and go an hour before me. And we're out in desolation.
Yeah.
I'm out in the Jeep. And saw a couple
I'd
other
be more
Jeeps.
worried about mountain lions out there than I would about people.
Yeah. But she takes off, and I go, "You okay?" And she goes, "I'm more than okay."
Yeah, I'm fine. No big deal. Yeah,
that's a very confident person. Too confident? I don't think so.
No.
She's very aware of her surroundings, very aware of everything around her.
Yeah,
but
she's experienced fighter. I believe the same way that she would know her limitations as well.
It would.
And they're not many, but
If she had to run up the side of a hill or beat someone down, I wouldn't put either one past her.
Yep.
She'd make the intelligent choice and do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's we got into a road rage situation on the road, and I had jumped out of the car immediately. So I'm out in this guy's face, It was the only time I seen Brock take his glasses off, come around the corner, and actually shoulder me behind him, and I'm like, "What are you doing? I could take this dude out." Brock's like, No. We're not doing that today." Like, come on, man, this sucks. So, yeah, but it takes a lot to get him riled up. He's a very smooth, rolling guy.
That's me too. I don't lose my temper ever.
Yeah, he's
it takes a lot.
Yeah, calmness. Not me. I'm like the whirlwind. So he's the moon. He keeps me centered, right? Yeah. So yeah, you and Debbie are great people, and
Thank you.
Super appreciate you coming up and doing the show and everything.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
So why don't you go ahead, just plug the school one more time, and then we'll just wrap up.
Well, my wife and I, Debbie Lovis and Dan Lovis, we own Auburn Martial Arts. She's a master instructor of Taekwondo, MMA fighter, and I'm an 8th degree black belt in Taekwondo, a 3rd degree black belt in Jiu-Jitsu. We've been running the Auburn Martial Arts School since 1989.
It's a long time.
You can find us at auburnmartialarts.com.
I was 10 years old.
Yep. How old were you when I started training in 1972?
I was pre-7 years.
Now I'm very old.
I was a little sparkle at that point. I'm like, yeah, 72. I remember back then, not so much. So, alrighty. Well, thanks so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much, Chief Master, for coming on the show. It was my pleasure to host you. It's always nice when I can sit down with my interviewees right at my desk and do a little heart-to-heart. Definitely was a great show and lots of great information, to keep yourself agile, to keep yourself fast, to keep yourself thinking at optimal performance. So thanks again for coming on the show. I want to give a shout out to all my Patreon members and thank you for your support of the Changing Earth podcast. If you would like access to the Patreon members material, including pre-release of the podcast, bonus audio, the Las Vegas years, and so much more, head on over to www.patreon.com/Changing Earth and get signed up. Then you can become a member of my website and get access to all of that great information. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to listen to me on the podcast. I'm trying to just give you some great information and get you motivated to go out and really, think about prepping your body, think about prepping your stuff, and think about prepping your mind for a time when we might be called upon to step up to a much larger plate. So keep on the course, keep doing what you're doing, and thank you so much for listening. Until next time, remember, dream, survive,
thrive.
Thank you for joining Sara for this episode of the Changing Earth podcast. Don't forget to pick up your copy of Day After Disaster, Without Land, The Walls of Freedom, and Battle for the South at www.author.sarafhathaway.com. If you love Sara's books and this podcast, please head over to Amazon or iTunes and let everyone know by leaving a review.